Welcome to the only wrestling podcast that covers the WWE developmental system from its inception to modern day. From OVW to MCW to HWA, Deep South, FCW, and much more. Hosted by Brian Asbury and Mortimer Blankenship. Now let's dive into what could have been, what should have been. Welcome to Developmentally Speaking.
Hey everybody, I'm Morty.
And I'm Brian.
And we have a very special episode of Developmentally Speaking today. It is an episode about the Haas Brothers, and joining us today is...
Charlie. How's everything going,
Hey guys,
Charlie?
how are you, man? Thanks for having me. Hope everyone's having a happy Memorial Day.
Yeah, for sure.
Or Memorial Weekend as well.
Absolutely. It's been a long one for me already. I've been keeping busy all week.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been good. I want to thank you for coming on for sure. I know it can be a very, very busy lifestyle being a professional wrestler, and the fact that you took time out to talk with us is an honor, and we want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a good one. So yeah.
Where did your guys' journey begin? What made you guys want to become professional wrestlers?
Probably since we were little kids, man. We were, I know the first time that I got hooked on it was watching. We're out living in Virginia. My dad worked he was in the Secret Service, so we were stationed out in Virginia, and he was working at the White House. So we were able to get WWF on around noon on Saturday, and it was that was when they were outside. I guess they were filming up in Hamburg or out in PA. We would pick up the stations there. And I saw Superfly Jimmy Snuka getting pile driven by Ray Crippler Stevens on the cement floor. And man, it was like, blood everywhere. They threw the black X up on TV. This is, do not watch this. And it was great. It was, and that's when I was hooked. So we started watching WWF, and then, probably about a year later, I guess, cable came out, and then I started to pick up, WTBS 605 to 805, Gordon Soley, and the Crockett's, and that was the Carolinas, from Virginia, which was Virginia as well with with the Carolinas, and then man, it's like that's what I got hooked on. I started watching that more. Russ liked WWF more. He really didn't like the studio wrestling. He didn't, But I don't know. I was just exhumed. I was just really, really happy to be able to watch both. And then as cable grew, I was able to see more and more territories and just get hooked. And Russ the same way. So then we just got hooked on like wrestling. I don't know how many times we broke my mom and dad's king size bed. The frame of it. Practicing every move there was. And then we got into amateur wrestling. From there, we were able to go to Seton Hall on scholarships, and at the time, Monday Night Wars was kicking it and killing it, and I was bartending at Seton Hall and wrestling as well. And when I was bartending, I'd always on Monday night, instead of watching Monday Night Football, I always had we'd go back and forth between Raw and WCW, and then of course on Saturday night at midnight ECW would come on. So we really got hooked on it, and that's when we decided. After I graduated, he had like 2 years to go left in school, and he decided, school wasn't for him. We decided to go ahead and try our hands at pro wrestling. So we started training at Iron Mike Sharp's School of Wrestling down in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and that's how we got into it.
It's awesome. Yeah. So
it's a long story. I know. I mean, it can go on and on, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. I love this. You talk about the studio wrestling. I absolutely love studio wrestling. I'm a huge fan of today's NWA, Billy Corgan's NWA wrestling, the studio style wrestling, and
it's funny is because when we first signed with WWE, we were sent to Memphis, and we'd go live at the studio that you watched the Memphis wrestling on, back in the day when it was really popular. It was the same studio. We had Corey Macklin and then Dave Brown. I mean, it was just and Jerry Lawler. So it was the studio wrestling that we were watching. Sam Rain that they all performed in, where Jimmy Hart and Jim Cornette, and and where they all cut their teeth in wrestling. So yeah, I mean, it's studio wrestling is good. It's a smaller. People don't understand what it is. It's a smaller. You're wrestling in front of 30 or 40 people, maybe 60 people at the most. It's a more intimate setting, but it's live. So if you mess up, everyone else that sees you or that is in range of that syndicated TV show is going to see you mess up. So,
right.
And for people to understand, it's like back in the day, a lot of it was studio wrestling. And what they would do is they would haul the ring in on a Saturday, and they would have the ring set up at the TV studio, probably right where the news, like the weather room or all that was. And what they would do is they would the way it used to work before cable came, that your territory was as big as your radius, your TV station. So as far as the range of the TV station antenna was, that was where your territory was. So you would always wrestle on the outside of that territory, hitting other small towns. But then you would always come back Saturday or whatever day they picked to have your one main show live, which would kick off that week of all the house shows. But you would use that show to set up your set up your feuds or your big events that are coming up, like at the Coliseum or the arena or whatever. So so you're actually wrestling in front of 30, 60 people. That's why you had to have really good workers. The work had to be really good. You had to make sure that it wasn't see-through. That your work was solid, snug, looked real. And then you got to be able to talk. And so what you were able to do is, even though you're wrestling in front of 60 people, you're being broadcasted in front of millions. And those stories you're telling and your work that you're performing, and you're able to pack, 40,000 people in an arena because of what you're doing. So it was very important to have really the best workers in the small, intimate areas. But that's how, at one time there was 37 territories all over the country, and they were all based on studios. So.
37 territories.
That's pretty cool.
I didn't know it was 37.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive. Wow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that was all 70s up to like 85. 85 they started dying. But yeah, there was one time that's how many territories there were. So.
That's amazing. Yeah.
How long did you guys do the independent scene before the developmental deal came about, and how did the developmental deal come about?
We were on the independent scene for about 5 years. We were wrestling this is before Ring of Honor came out. So we were wrestling for Jersey All Pro and CCW and all the whatever territories, whatever independent companies were out there that were out there like around the New Jersey area. So we would jump, we'd wrestle all over, try to get our name out there. Not really sure how to get into WWE, how to connect with them. Somebody mentioned, once we thought we were polished up enough, they said, okay, you guys got to get down to see Jim Kettner down in Delaware, for ECWA. And I said, okay. So we got down there, and we started working for him. And he was the creator of the Super 8 tournament, which is a huge wrestling tournament at the time for the best independent wrestlers. And so we got down there, and he polished us up and got us ready, and he called Kevin Kelly, who was with WWE at the time, WWF. He was an announcer, and Kevin was working with him, and they were trying to make that a developmental territory at one time with PCW, but that didn't work out. But we spent about a year with Kevin. That's where we broke in the Briscoe brothers, and they actually, because of that, they were actually we were able to get into WWF, and Kevin Kelly vouched for us, brought us up on our dark matches, and our second dark match we signed with WWF. So,
wow, second dark match got signed. That's
it's been about 3 years in the developmental. We got sent to Memphis, and then they bought WCW, so they shut Memphis down because Lawler and the Cat quit. Whatever they sent us to OVW. I don't know. HWA with Les Thatcher, over at Les Thatcher's school. That's when, and that was when. Now all of a sudden you have ECW got bought, so now you got the WCW and the ECW wrestlers that they're not sure what to do with. They get sent to either OVW, which Cornette really didn't want most of them because he had his whole roster set. And so, I mean, he did take whatever they told him to, and he fed them in, appropriately. And then they had him and Danny Davis, and then the rest got sent to HWA. So we had a whole bunch of, wrestlers just floating around trying to figure out, where you belong. Plus, you had all the students from Les Thatcher's school. And then, so what happens, you're fighting for a spot just on a developmental roster, and then you're hoping that WWF won't cut you, and you're trying to get brought up to their roster. So then Russ dies, and that was December 15th on 2001, and so that really that was unexpected, and so then they shut HWA down, not because of his death. They just shut it down because they just didn't think that it was performing like it should, and they sent us down to OVW. Plus, they had plans to open up Deep South Wrestling, DSW, which was one of the I can't remember who it was. Jody. I can't remember who it was. Nick Patrick's dad started to open it up. So that was in Atlanta, and from there we just went. I got called up with Shelton a year after Russ died, and in the West, and that's how we started. That's how we started Team Angle, because the Team Angle was originally supposed to be Russ, myself, Kurt, and Shelton, and that's what it was all planned. We were doing fine in the developmental, and I think we proved ourselves. So we were moving ahead of all the WCW and ECW guys as a tag team, and so we were ready to rock and roll. And they announced it. And they brought us up. We met with them. Umaga and Rosie, actually, Eki and Maddie, they were brought up at the same time. They were going to be the Island Boys before they were 3 Minute Warning, or they had plans for them. Maybe they were going to be 3 Minute Warning. But I remember all four of us being flown in, and that's when they say, "Hey, this is what we're going to do with you guys. You're going to be Team Angle. You're going to be with over there with Rikishi, or however they're going to do it." So we were all excited, man. And then unfortunately, Russ passed away. So.
That's terrible to go through. Terrible timing. I mean, it's never good timing, but just that's rough.
Yeah, it's and that's the thing about wrestling. Wrestling it puts you in uncomfortable positions, and it you really don't start wrestling until you're in an uncomfortable position. But you have to learn to deal with those positions and to get out of it, and so you can apply that work ethic. And I'm talking about amateur wrestling and pro wrestling. You can apply that work ethic to life, and you got to learn to deal with adversity, persevere, and that's when you're looking at whether it's death, divorce, taxes, just whatever God throws at you. I think wrestling helped me prepare. I think you ever prepare for like your brother's death or anything, but it just taught you to the work ethic that you got to keep going. So I think that's what made Shelton and I so successful. Is that I just said, okay, I got to finish this for Russ and I. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. So.
And you and Shelton and Team Angle was hot for a very long time.
It was really good. It was really good. It was we were very blessed, and I mean, not only was it hot, but I mean, to be able to work with Arn Anderson, as their mentor. I mean, that is just that is awesome.
For sure. Yeah, we both grew up watching OVW, so I remember y'all being in OVW for a little while.
We got HWA, so we got both HWA and OVW, so we got to see you, long before the rest of the world, just grow and develop, and you could tell that there's two different styles between HWA and OVW, and what do you like with HWA? Everybody was just fighting for a spot. What was it like in OVW? Was it the same, or was it more better structured?
When I got brought down to OVW, I was pushed as a baby face, and I always worked as hell. But this is what I loved about OVW is that everybody that was down there was pretty much on contract. Here's the issue I had with HWA, and I've said this before, and I don't know, when we got there, we were WWE developmental, signees. We were, like in the farm system. But every time that they brought in, the WWE names like the Chris Benoit's or the shows or, the big names to work with us so that we can be evaluated to see where we were never. It was less Thatcher students like a Ray Steele or a Cody Hawk or a Matt Stryker or, the hit or the Spirit Squad, not Spirit Squad, like I can't remember what the I can't remember what the show, Pepper Parks and his partner, whatever. But what it was is that we weren't given the opportunity to show what we've been learning and to be good. Les forced his students all the time, and that's the issue I had with that, is that we never got a shot to wrestle the WWE guys. So I mean, it was frustrating. It was really frustrating. And so, and a lot of people complain. I think that's why they shut it down. Like, I think it would have been a business longer if Les would have just said, "Hey, I got to get my guys ready, and then I'll have to be through." He was trying to get his guys signed. That was the deal. He's like, he promised them to get them signed, and I don't think one of them got signed. Not one of them. And he was like, Ray Steele's the next guy. Well, he wrestled Chris Benoit, but Ray Steele never emerged to be the great guy that he was supposed to. So you can't keep cramming down and shoving, your own students down the WWE's throat when they want to see the people that were already signed where they are, so that because they have money invested in them. They're looking to move us up. And that's where, that is where. Jim Cornette was so great because he had students. Danny Davison did have students, and Danny Davis has to get a lot of credit for this too, because he's the one that really got everyone. Jim would get everyone ready for TV and write the TV, and Danny would train everybody like in the ring. But it was their collaboration together that made OVW so good. And so that was what was missing in the other developmental territories. But they never forced other students, down WWE's throat that weren't signed. Now, did he get his students signed? Yes, he did, because they were good. I mean, they were trained properly by Danny Davis and by Jim Cornette. So you had, the Bastions get signed out of there, and to name a few others that were under developmental contract. But it was really that was the difference. You could tell. So when I got down there, I was able to pick up that style. But like I said before, like in the past, other podcasts, like Jim Cornette and Danny Davis didn't have to take a chance on me. They requested to have me come down there, whether it was because after Russ died, but they knew they could work with me. They saved my career. I mean, they could have said no when they shut down OVW, and not OVW, when they shut down HWA, they could have said no, and because they decided who they wanted down there, and I was fortunate to get down there and be right at the tail end of that class where Cena, Orton, Shelton, Brock, Conway, Densmore, Rene Dupree, it's a hell of a class, man. And look at all the people that came from there. So I was very honored, and I was blessed to be brought down from OVW. I remember getting the phone call to be brought down from HWA, but I remember getting the phone call from Johnny Ace saying, and he was firing everybody. So the word got around, everyone was calling, man, should you get fired? And Johnny called me, and I go, let me guess, I'm fired. He goes, no, can you get down to OVW by tomorrow? I go, I'll be there by tonight. So, man, I packed up my shit and I left, man. I was like, I was just, I was blessed that I didn't get cut, and that's where I think Danny Davis and Jim Cornette.
So we, it's well known, we're from Seymour, Indiana. So we're from where Rip Rogers and Danny Basham and Real Deal Rod Steele.
And I gotta pay homage to Rip Rogers, because they brought him in when I first got down there, and he and Danny Davis was kind of taking a step back from the training, and he was mostly editing and doing all the TVs and stuff. And I tell you what, Rip Rogers, man, he taught me how to throw a really good punch. He worked with me on it because that was really my weakness at the time. I mean, I've been in a lot of fights, but I just didn't know how to throw a working punch, a wrestling fight. I could connect with the real one. And that was the problem. So he taught me how to pull it back. But man, he is he's a master. I mean, he is a hell of a man instructor, and he did a really good job. And he did a really good job with all of us, that was down there. So you got Rip Rogers, from up there in Indiana, because we would always go up and wrestle in Indiana and do a spot show or house show up there too.
Yeah, that's what we remember. Cause,
okay, yeah. Where was that at?
I believe that it was probably the high school, because they did shows here at the high school, the Armory, and the middle school a lot in Seymour.
Okay.
I don't know that Rip would always do like really small towns too.
Oh man,
all over southern Indiana.
Oh yeah, Hope, Indiana. That I think he was on that card.
I might have been. I remember it used to be. It was like a nightclub, or I don't know, not a night. I don't know what it was, like a family fun park or some kind of like indoor, some type of park or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember doing that spot show there. Yeah.
So we always ask this question. John Cena was quoted as calling OVW Camelot because it was just that he said it was almost like a family. Do you feel that OVW was a family more than just
yeah, definitely. I thought so. I thought it was it wasn't. Yeah, everyone was happy for everyone. Everyone wanted to see everyone succeed. Everyone mostly did succeed. Dude, they just, they pretty much, there was a cancer, it got cut right out, like it wasn't. Everyone knew what they were there for. They were all under WWE contract, and everyone was given the opportunity, and everyone had the chance to shine in front of the JRs and the Briscoes and the Bruce Pritchards that would go down there, or the Arn Andersons, to be evaluated. And it was neat to see them go from the old Danny Davis Arena to the new Danny Davis Arena, which they perform now, that Al Snow owns. And but to see the talent that got brought up from there. From that class, and Batista was in there too. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention his name, but Batista and Cena and Orton and Shelton and Brock, myself and Bashams, Conway, and, Dinsmore, and list goes on and on. But yeah, it was real. It was a real honor, and it was just something special. What they really should do is do a documentary and do a series on it. It was unbelievable.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's kind of why we're doing this, because it's to get the story out of all the developmental territories. But of course, being who we are focusing on OVW the first few seasons, because it's what I know best. Because I know HWA a little bit more than I do, but when it comes to the developmental territories, OVW was my bread and butter. So that's.
It just seems like anytime they do anything on developmental, it just focuses on the big four, and then everybody else kind of gets lost in the shuffle. So we wanted to reach out to everybody that we could, and have everybody tell their developmental story, their OVW, their
Yeah, Memphis was great. It gave you that live right there in the studio. And I mean, you were in the studios in the great with Jimmy Valiant, the Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express, and Jim Cornette, where they all started. Same studio, same ring. The ring looked like shit, hurt like hell. I mean, it was same thing. And that's the truth. I was like, holy shit! At 10 in the morning, you're taking these bumps, and it hurts. But it was a great, Austin Idols, and it was Bill Dundee. I mean, the greats that came out of there, that wrestled there, that you saw in that territory, we were able to wrestle there. And then we got there at the tail end of the territory. Dundee would come on, and so would Lawler. But, they saw the same feud over and over again. They burned. That territory got burned really quick. I mean, not really quick. It got burned over the years. It's in Memphis. It's kind of like Dallas, just never really recuperated. They couldn't get a kick started again. Jim Cornette had it. up in OVW. You know, that was the Camelot. That's where you wanted to go because at the time you had you also had the I can't remember the name of it, but Rick Bassman had the territory out in California too. That's where Lisa Marie came from when they shut it down. But I remember Heidenreich and Nathan Jones were out there. You know, they had some other wrestlers out there that were training. But yeah, that was a big that was the territory at one time. You got a lot more of the model, the girlfriend, not the girlfriends, the divas coming out there. Coming from there, rightfully so. California, beautiful beaches. You know, everyone's working out. But you know, so Memphis, you had live TV, and you learned to work on it, and you had to learn to work within the realms of their, you know, the TV time restraints. And then, you know, you go to, that was Memphis, and then you go to OVW, you know, Cornette's writing TV, so he's teaching you how to perform in TV, but it was live to tape, and then that would air wherever Danny would send that. And same was HWA. HWA, we would drive. We didn't have a studio, so we would drive all the way down, and they would just throw HWA signs up over the OVW signs. And that's how, you know, and it was like an hour and a half drive. So that's what we do on Sunday for our TV. So,
wow. Well,
I'm not sure how Bassman ran his. And I'm not sure how Deep South ran theirs either. I never got a chance to see those. So.
Thank you for the insight of what your experience was in developmental.
No problem.
We usually take this last part for you to basically plug anything you need to plug.
Yeah. So, man, speaking of, you know, this is a great time to be a wrestler and a wrestling fan. With the pandemic, unfortunately, I mean, it is, man, internet TV took off. I never thought it would work, but, man, it did. And I love it because you go to Pluto, man, you can look at, man, you turn on, like, type in FITE, and every pro wrestling, man, that you can see. I mean, you got MLW, NWA, AAA, Ring of Honor, Impact, and it's on and on. And you got there's a wrestling promotion in England that's wrestling inside a bar. I mean, it goes on and on. So me and like 4 others, we own this company. I bought SWE. It's called SW360. It's where I'm the real world champion, and it is the what we're doing is our tickets actually went on sale today. Today's Memorial Day weekend of 2022. Tickets went on sale for our first show. It's called Find the Real, and it is in Canton, Texas, coming up August 13th, 2022. And you will be able to go to Eventbrite right now, and you can buy the tickets. We are running basically twice a month. It'll be a TV taping once a month, and then we'll have our house show that 1 month too. We're trying out new talent. We're on live TV, and we're going to be streamed on YouTube Live. And you know, we are, you know, hopefully we'll get on Pluto eventually. It just right now, you know, we just want to see where we are. We have a great crew around us. Kevin Sullivan, who is the, you know, who is the last living link to Eddie Graham at Florida Championship Wrestling. He's our booker. We have Dan Bynum, who worked with World Championship Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and MLW. He is our editing. He's the executive director of media and TV and editing. And you know, I have a great I mean, just a really good money team, and everything's going really well. So we are looking forward to launching my own promotion, and you'll see it throughout, like whether on live TV and around Texas, or you'll see it on the internet TV. So you'll look for SW360. I can't, you know, my co-host that's on my podcast, which you can also catch me on Wrestling Disgrace podcast, is Aaron Presley. He'll be there. My agent, Kurt Zamora, couldn't be doing this without him. Got to plug him. And then, of course, Robert Langdon and Jason Jarrett. And Tom Lance has given me the blessing, so I got to thank him as well. But we're looking forward to this, man. You can also find me on, like I said, Wrestling Disgrace podcast, or The Real Charlie Haas on Instagram and Facebook, or at Charlie Haas on Twitter. So, and then go to SWE360 Texas on Twitter, or SWE360. And if any of the talent want to reach out, you know, go to SW360talent@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you for coming on and spend some time with us. It's been an honor.
Sorry it took so long for us to get together.
Yeah.
Nah, not a problem, man. Not a problem. I'm sorry. It's just it's one. It's just, hey, man. Everyone's everyone's busy, so I get it. And thank you guys, man, and thank you for everything.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, guys.
Hey, everybody, it's Morty.
It's Brian.
And thank you for watching today's episode of Developmentally Speaking.
If you could, please click that subscribe button.
And don't forget to punch that bell icon so you can get notified whenever we go live or drop a new video every Monday. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next
Developmentally Speaking.